Hello, it's been a while since I've done a vlog, so I thought I'd do a new one since quite a bit's changed. I've been quite busy recently. I just moved down to London about 6 weeks ago, I guess, and the first thing I did when I got down here, apart from trying to find a flat, which I've now got, was getting involved in various climate change groups. Far too many to start with, kind of like when you start university and you join up to all these societies and then you never get the chance to actually go along to them because it's just too much to do. So I've cut it right down now, and my time seems to be split probably between 4 ways between climate change stuff. There's the climate camp at a national level. I'm helping with the workshops working group. Then there's the climate camp in terms of what's going on in London, and I'm trying to keep an events calendar for that. That's proving tricky. There's so much stuff going on in London. Also trying to get along to these meetings every Tuesday, which is quite a challenge because it's a fair distance from where I live. The other thing is I'm trying to get involved in Plain Stupid, an anti-aviation group. It's just plainstupid.com, I think. And finally, I'm thinking of starting my own group up, but I won't get into that too much because I haven't got all the details of that. But the one solid thing I know is that the first report by that group is going to be on coal in Asia. It's not going to be about bashing China and India by any means. Actually, it's quite interesting when thinking about it. Framing actually, how you frame the issue is quite important, and it seems that there's 2 of us working on this at the moment, and the other guys helping me with it said we need NGOs to start thinking less locally, to stop doing just UK campaigns, to really get to say we can actually discuss what's going on in India and China without being xenophobic, without just being racist and nationalistic. And the realization really came that because in Britain and America and the developed world we are responsible for the vast majority of emissions so far, and because we're all entitled to each person or each nation on a per capita basis is equal to a similar carbon budget or the same carbon budget, because they can't get there if we're going to solve climate change. Making up for the fact that they can't get there is really our responsibility. So dealing with India and China's emissions is the developed world's responsibility. So in which case the call isn't for NGOs to stop thinking about home, to stop focusing on our governments, but rather to step up the focus on our governments and to get them to seriously support the Chinese and the Indians and help them to develop cleaner alternatives to coal. And of course the controversial question, really the big one when it comes to coal, is can we supplant him sufficiently quickly with efficiency gains and with renewables? And if not, then we're looking at carbon capture and storage, and that in itself is highly controversial. In fact, in terms of a climate camp, which as I said I'm heavily involved in at the moment, carbon capture and storage is almost universally despised as a technological fix. So that's something quite controversial which we're starting to look at the moment. I know there's been a report recently by a lot of big American NGOs coming out against CCS. It's kind of the sort of established wisdom of the IPCC and the International Energy Agency and a lot of other big organisations and groups who've already looked at the question. But we're going to have to try and take a broad look at that. Right, so in terms of events, I'll say something about some of the events which are going on, because hopefully if some of you are in England, you'll actually be able to get involved in some of these. The first one, let's see, in terms of time, 3rd of June. Okay, on the 3rd of June was the National Day of Action on Food and Climate Change. This is obviously particularly relevant at the moment with the food crisis, and the link to biofuels as some sort of solution to the problem. So it's daysofclimateaction.org.uk if you're interested in doing something for that. The next one in chronological order would be the International Climate Forum by the Campaign Against Climate Change. You can see the list of speakers to that. It's quite an impressive list. I'll certainly be going along to that. And that's one of the first ones they've actually charged for, because these events aren't free to put on and they need the money, so you can see it's not much, so that's a really cheap event. So, and it's also, they're trying to build a global campaign. So if you're not in the UK, then have a look at this website and see if you're working with any groups that are involved in the International Day of Action, because we really need a focus every time these climate talks come up. We really need a huge global protest to push for action on climate change. The next thing is actually part of the climate camp at the very beginning of that week, which is from the 3rd to the 10th of August. On the 6th, this Day of Action on Biofuels, and the meeting is at Piccadilly Circus. So we're all from a climate camp going to get trains or buses, I guess, trains into Piccadilly Circus from the camp. Whereas if you're not going to the camp, if that's too much of a commitment for you, or you don't like camping, then just sort of make it along to Piccadilly Circus anyway. I mean, it's probably the easiest place in London to get to. Then we've got, I just found these at the National Climate Camp meeting, which I was at, and my last video I was there nearly getting arrested, which is just some complete and utter farce. There's a load of police outside, and they photograph us every time we come in and come out, and I've said this to people, and people are like, why, what are you doing in there? You know, someone said, are you black bloc, which is a reference to the anti-capitalist protesters are highly violent ones. No, we're not violent. We're avowedly non-violent, and we're having an organising meeting for a non-violent event in the future, and there's 8 police outside photographing everyone. And I walked in front of their cameras a couple of times, which is perfectly legal. I mean, you're not allowed to hold the lenses, that's a problem. But then they tried to caution me for doing this, for walking in front of their cameras when they're trying to photograph other people. And then because I was under caution, apparently you meant to give your name and address, which I refused to do, so then they were going to arrest me for that. I mean, it was all complete farce, obviously, but I wasn't about to spend like 6 hours in the cell, so I just gave them my details in the end. Hello police people. It would be not a surprise at all if they found my website. I'm pretty sure they have actually already. So anyway, so at that meeting there was loads of stuff done. I'm sort of helping with the workshops group for some reason. I thought it would be a good thing to get involved with, and I seem to put a bit more of a central role than I really wanted. But so I've got like pages and pages of notes now, and I'm trying to just think about it today. But it's good anyway. I'm getting into it. So I've got these climate camp flyers, which we've got 30,000 of, and these are really impressive. You see, they unfold like this. I mean, some good design work on them. It's a be prepared. Swiss Army knife of climate action. And loads of details about how you can get involved. So it's climateCamp.org.uk, and these are various elements to the camp. What's actually going on there? We're hoping to have over 100 workshops there. As you can imagine, it's quite a quite a task finding everyone, and then creating the framework for when they're all going to speak, and then working with all the different groups that we think about what else is going to be on at the same time, trying to avoid clashes, and then there's lots of political stuff. Okay, well that was my update. I'll do another vlog again sometime in the future when it seems that I've got something interesting to say. See you later.